Hello viewers, I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. In recent diplomatic developments between India and Maldives, Foreign Minister Musa Zamir's visit to New Delhi marks a crucial step in addressing bilateral concerns amidst a deadlock. His discussions with India's External Affairs Minister S. Shankar signify both parties' efforts to enhance their multifaceted relationship. Tensions between the two countries had arisen following derogatory remarks about Prime Minister Narendra Modi by some Moldavian politicians. However, former Moldavian President Mohammad Nasheed has expressed concerns over the ramifications of India's boycott call, emphasizing the desire for Indian tourists to continue visiting Maldives. Take a look.
In the midst of a diplomatic deadlock, Musa Zamir, the Foreign Minister of Maldives, travelled to New Delhi on May 8 to engage in discussions regarding bilateral concerns with India. Throughout his visit, both parties explored avenues to bolster their multifaceted relationship. Zamir met with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to address matters of mutual concern. India also positively reacted to Maldives' efforts to ease tensions, seek common ground, and pursue collaborative opportunities.
As close and proximate neighbors, the development of our ties is obviously based on mutual interests and reciprocal sensitivity. As far as India is concerned, these are articulated in terms of our neighborhood first policy and Sagar vision. I hope that our meeting today has enabled us to strengthen the convergence of our perspectives in various domains. Excellency, India has been a key provider of development assistance to the Maldives. Our projects have benefited the lives of the people of your country, have contributed directly to the quality of life. They range from infrastructure projects and social initiatives to medical evacuation and health facilities. We have also extended financial support on favorable terms in the past.
Zamir's visit came as India announced to replace its military personnel from Maldives. The ties between Maldives and India strained after some Maldivian politicians from the ruling party posted derogatory remarks about Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Following the incident, the boycott Maldives trended on social media, which eventually hit the Maldives' tourism-dependent economy. Standing in support of their country, Indian tourists started cancelling flights and hotel bookings in Maldives. After facing serious backlash and witnessing a staggering decline in the economy, Maldives started working on damage control. Former Maldivian President Mohammad Nasheed has voiced significant concerns regarding the ramifications of India's boycott calls on Maldives, particularly in the context of tourism. Nasheed conveyed apologies on behalf of the Maldivian people and emphasized their wish for Indian tourists to continue visiting the country. He highlighted the impact of the boycott on Maldives.
It has impacted a lot. And, I am actually here in India. I'm very worried about this. I want to say the people of the Maldives are sorry. We are sorry that this has happened. Indian people, we want Indian people to come on their holidays to the Maldives, and there will not be any effect on any change in our hospitality. So it's very unfortunate that our kind of more activist-minded government officials, low-level government officials, decided to articulate in this manner. Then I am also encouraged that the President has now removed them from government.
India and Maldives share ethnic, linguistic, cultural, religious, and commercial links steeped in antiquity. India was among the first to recognize Maldives after its independence in 1965 and to establish diplomatic relations with the country. Since then, bilateral relations have been nurtured and strengthened by regular contacts at the highest levels. However, the ties between the two countries started declining in November 2023 when the Maldivian President Mohammad Muizzu assumed power.
Moving on, Sri Lanka and Japan have reached an agreement to resume bilateral projects, including a significant $1.5 billion Japanese-funded light railway. In parallel, Japan's Foreign Minister Kamikawa also embarked on a diplomatic mission to Nepal, emphasizing Tokyo's efforts to strengthen ties with neighboring countries. Given New Delhi's historical, cultural and economic ties with Nepal and Sri Lanka, as well as its strategic interests in the region, Japan's overtures could pave the way for collaborative opportunities among Japan, India, Sri Lanka and Nepal. A report. On May 4th, Sri Lanka and Japan agreed to resume stalled bilateral projects, including a $1.5 billion Japanese-funded light railway. The two nations announced the agreement during a visit to Sri Lanka by Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa. Sri Lanka is working to restructure its foreign debt as part of a $2.9 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund after its worst financial crisis in more than 7 decades in 2022 triggered a foreign debt default.
I also conveyed Japan's intention to further support Sri Lanka's development by swiftly resuming existing yen loan projects. Once the MOU on debt restructuring is signed and the Sri Lanka's government's intention to swiftly conclude it, a bilateral agreement is confirmed.
Sri Lanka pulled out of the rail project in 2020 when it was moving closer to China under the then president. The Sri Lankan cabinet in July gave approval for President Ranil Wickremesinghe to decide on the appropriate time frame to reactivate projects with Japan. According to Finance Ministry data, Japan is Sri Lanka's biggest bilateral lender after China, with about $2.7 billion in outstanding loans.
Japan is leading the international discussions on Sri Lanka's debt restructuring. As co-chair of the official creditors committee, the restoration of stability and economic development of Sri Lanka, which is at the strategic location in the Indian Ocean, is essential for the stability and prosperity of the entire Indo-Pacific region.
Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa also met Nepal's top leadership in Kathmandu and discussed the whole gamut of bilateral relations to elevate economic and development cooperation as well as cultural and people-to-people ties. Kamikawa was also seen touring Kathmandu's sacred UNESCO sites and greeting people at Darbar Square. Kamikawa is the 4th Japanese foreign minister to visit Nepal since the two countries established diplomatic relations in 1956. Yoko Kamikawa's visit to Nepal and Sri Lanka highlights Japan's efforts to strengthen ties with neighboring countries, focusing on economic cooperation and cultural exchange. The high-profile visits can have implications for India as well. India shares close historical, cultural and economic ties with both Nepal and Sri Lanka and also maintains significant strategic interest in the region. Japan's efforts could potentially create opportunities for collaboration between Japan, India, Sri Lanka and Nepal. This could involve joint infrastructure projects, economic development initiatives and cultural exchanges that benefit all the 4 countries. Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
Japan is to start hunting fin whales in a move certain to face strong opposition from environmentalists. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi on May 9 said the species would be added to its commercial whaling list after the country's fisheries agency this week sought public comment on a draft revision of its policies. Over the last 5 years, Japan has been trying to expand its whaling business. It resumed commercial hunting in its territorial waters and exclusive economic zones in 2019 after withdrawing from the International Whaling Commission. Whale consumption in Japan hit its peak in the nearly 1960s but did not become widespread as other meats become more accessible. Commercial whaling in Japan is currently limited to 3 minor species: minke whales, bride whales, and sea whales. India wrapped up polling for the third phase of its massive general elections on May 7 after voters turned out across several regions to cast their ballots. The polling covered 93 seats in 11 states and territories, with Gujarat and Maharashtra in the west and Karnataka in the south accounting for 50 seats. It completed voting for 283 of Parliament's 543 elected seats. Almost a billion people in the world's most populous nation are eligible to vote in the entire exercise running through the peak of summer until June 1, with results set for June 4th. Russian President Vladimir Putin on May 9 accused the West of risking a global conflict and said no one would be allowed to threaten the world's biggest nuclear power as Russia marked the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II.
Сегодня мы видим, как правду о Второй мировой войне пытаются исказить. Она мешает тем, кто привык строить свою, по сути, колониальную политику на лицемерии и лжи. Они сносят мемориалы истинным борцам с нацизмом, ставят на пьедесталы предателей и пособников гитлеровцев, перечеркивают память о героизме и благородстве солдат-освободителей, о той великой жертве, которую они принесли во имя жизни.
As Russian troops advance against Ukraine's Western-backed forces, Putin accused arrogant Western elites of forgetting the decisive role played by the Soviet Union in defeating Nazi Germany and of stoking conflicts across the world.
Let's now move to Pakistan, where violent clashes near a court in Punjab province resulted in injuries of several people and arrest of several lawyers, prompting a nationwide strike against police brutality. Tensions arose from terrorism charges against lawyers linked to Imran Khan's party and plans to relocate courts. Additionally, a court granted the request of Imran Khan's wife to shift to jail due to security concerns amid allegations of contaminated food being served to her. A report.
On May 8, violent confrontations near a court in Pakistan's Punjab province resulted in over 25 injuries and the subsequent arrest of more than 50 lawyers by the police. The Bar Council responded by calling for a nationwide strike on the following day to protest against police brutality. The clashes occurred outside the Lahore High Court on Mall Road and was sparked by the controversy surrounding the registration of terrorism cases against lawyers linked to the imprisoned former Prime Minister Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party. Additionally, tensions flared due to plans to relocate lower courts to a different venue. Police used tear gas, a water cannon, and batons to disperse the protest.
हमारा इजलास करना हमारा राइट है। इन्होंने ताले लगवा दिए, ताले लगवाने के बाद पुलिस को अपने साथ मिलाकर हमारे ऊपर शेलिंग की है और जुल्म की इंतहा की है। कल पूरे पाकिस्तान में अदालती निज़ाम बंद कर दिया जाएगा।
The regional government of Punjab is saying that moving the location of the courts will ease the traffic congestion in the city. However, the lawyers opine that this puts pressure as it will require having to travel almost 2 hours to get one from one court to another. They are demanding that the provincial government keep the courts where they are currently.
हमारा एक पुरमन इजलास था और एक पुरमन रैली थी, उस पे लाठीचार्ज किया गया, उस पे आंसू गैस की बेपनाह शेलिंग की गई है और उस पे वाटर कैनन फेंके गए हैं, वकला को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। इसकी मैं शदीद मजम्मत करता हूँ। इस पंजाब हुकूमत की, चीफ जस्टिस लाहौर हाई कोर्ट की और आईजी पंजाब की हम शदीद मजम्मत करते हैं और वकला जब तक हमारे मुतालबे पूरे नहीं होते हम सड़कों पर ही रहेंगे और हम अपने हकूक मनवा के छोड़ेंगे।
The political situation in Pakistan is marked by significant tension and legal intricacies. Protesting lawyers are calling for the removal of terrorism charges against PTI-affiliated colleagues, underscoring a larger conflict between the government and opposition. Imran Khan supporters are encountering hurdles like legal troubles and detentions, indicating the heightened state of politics in the country. Imran Khan supporters are facing a challenging time as their leader contends with charges including corruption, terrorism, contempt of courts and rioting. The Pakistan Army has set conditions for talks with Imran Khan's PTI, demanding an apology for past events. Meanwhile, a court in Pakistan granted on a request by the wife of former Prime Minister Imran Khan to shift to jail instead of house arrest ordered by the government because of security concerns. Through her lawyers, Bibi had filed an appeal in the Islamabad High Court asking to be shifted to Adiala jail in the garrison city of Rawalpindi, where Imran Khan is serving his 14-year sentence. PTI said Bibi had complained of being served contaminated food by the authorities at the house, which was declared a sub-jail. The authorities have, however, denied the accusation.
Tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan have escalated following a deadly attack on Chinese engineers. Pakistani authorities have implicated Afghan nationals and militants based in Afghanistan, while Afghanistan's Taliban government denies involvement, highlighting the complex dynamics between the neighboring nations. On March 26, 5 Chinese nationals and a Pakistani driver were killed after a suicide attacker rammed his explosive-laden vehicle into their convoy in northwest Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The incident happened when the convoy was in its way from Islamabad to Dasu, the site of a key hydroelectric dam being constructed by a Chinese company. On May 7, Pakistan's military said that the attack was planned in neighboring Afghanistan and that the bomber was also an Afghan national. In a news conference, Pakistani military spokesman Major General Ahmad Sharif said that the car used in the attack was also prepared in Afghanistan. He further added that the 4 main suspects of the plot to target the Chinese engineers have been arrested.
एक अंधोनाक वाकया 26 मार्च 2024 को सुबह खैबर पख्तूनख्वा के इलाके बिशाम में पेश आया, जहां दासू डैम पर काम करने वाले चीनी इंजीनियर्स की गाड़ी को खुदकुश हमलावर ने निशाना बनाया, जिसके नतीजे में 5 चीनी बाशिंदे और एक पाकिस्तानी लुकमा अजल बन गए। इस खुदकुश हमले की कड़ियाँ भी सरहद पार से जा मिलती हैं। इस हमले की मनसूबाबंदी अफ़गानिस्तान में की गई थी। दहशतगर्द और उसके सहूलतकारों का कंट्रोल भी अफ़गानिस्तान से किया जा रहा था और खुदकुश बमबार भी अफ़गान शहरी था।
Relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan have soared in recent months, with Islamabad saying the Taliban-run administration in Kabul is not doing enough to tackle militant groups targeting Pakistan.
अफ़गानिस्तान की सरजमीन इस्तेमाल करके टीटीपी के दहशतगर्द मुसलसल पाकिस्तान में दहशतगर्दी की कार्रवाइयाँ करते हैं। इस हवाले से पाकिस्तान ने ठोस शवाहिद भी पेश किए, मगर ताहाल उस पर कोई मुस्बत पेशरफ्त दिखाई नहीं दे रही। हालिया दहशतगर्द के वाक़यात के ताने बाने और शवाहिद अफ़गानिस्तान में मौजूद दहशतगर्दों की पनाहगाहों तक जाते हैं।
The Taliban Defense Ministry has rejected Pakistan's allegations that Afghans were involved in an attack on Chinese engineers. Reacting to the allegation, Taliban government said the blaming Afghanistan for such incidents is a failed attempt to divert attention from the truth of the matter. This strain in relations underscores the complex dynamics between the two neighboring countries. Last year, Pakistan expelled over 3 lakh undocumented Afghan nationals, saying the majority of suicide attacks against its security forces were carried out by Afghans. The complexities of the situation highlight the intricate dynamics between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which have been historically fraught with challenges ranging from border disputes to accusations of harboring militants. Such incidents not only strain bilateral relations but also have broader implications for regional stability, particularly given Afghanistan's strategic location as a crossroads for various interests and influences. The rising tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan have raised concerns about regional stability and security. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.